Man, I gotta tell you, I'm lacking guidance. I don't know how much should I be studying per day, how difficult the situation is. I don't have something, a path, a path to follow. I'm just based on my instincts that, okay, now I have studied enough. Let's do it again tomorrow, for example. And this is how you are actually helping me a lot.
Yeah,
Uh,
did you start using the study planner? Do you have a chance to
Actually,
maybe?
now that we're one on one, I would like to tell you that I finished it because I was really, full committed in this. Because I didn't know if I have enough time, how much of the information will I be able to memorize at the end of it, just to have a general picture of the syllabus and the details inside of it. For example, I saw that Pearson is way more detailed than the Cambridge biology.
Yeah, that's true.
In many topics, yeah. And now I have a general idea. And now, for example, I don't know the next step. What about the next? How am I making notes, for example, now? Am I rereading the whole syllabus from the beginning? I am also unfamiliar with the Anki flashcards, which I see so much. They are so popular and maybe they're very useful. I want to use it as well. Any video you can click on YouTube is actually about Anki cards, especially when it comes to medical memorizations and stuff. You have a cat and a dog.
Yeah, they play right now. The dog
Okay.
is very, very young, so this is why she is all over the place. The cat is just
Okay.
playing with her.
Okay. Okay, so actually I didn't know the next steps, for example, now. How can I organize everything and all the materials at the same time so I can have a smooth outcome in the end, having combined all of them.
Of course, of course. So when it comes to studying in general for these kind of exams, because it's concepts and not memorization, while Anki will help you memorize the dry fact, for example, remembering the basic steps of mitosis and meiosis, these very dry facts that you need to memorize for sure for the exam, you need to have a very solid understanding. So instead, I don't take notes, for example. I only write questions or use ChatGPT recently in the past few months to actually study. It saves me a lot of time. So what I do is when you read anything from Pearson's, for example, you can make questions out of the Pearson book.
Okay.
So try to kind of think from the point of view of the exam writers.
The examiner.
Exactly. So another very good thing that I did when I took the IMAT exam, and I encourage all of my students to do every year, is to find someone from the group that is about the same level as you 3 months before the exam. It's pretty common because at some point there is a small group that is very well prepared, and each of them use different resources. And what you can do is you can have a small group, make questions from the Pearsons or whatever sources you use. Let's say you started using YouTube because some people prefer to use YouTube to study. When I study in general, it's mainly on YouTube. So on Engineered Science, Khan Academy, this kind of YouTube channels. And make a list of questions to ask the people you study with, and they will make questions for you to ask. So what you can see is because they have a completely different approach to study than you can pretty much find your weak spots because the exam is all about finding weak spots. You can memorize a lot of facts, but maybe you don't know that you don't know a single thing that will pretty much collapse the entire knowledge on that specific subject. So because it's not really memorization, you really want to find someone to examine you. When I was teaching in 2020, my teaching method was to pretty much have a one-on-one and just bring a lot of questions. And based on the questions, I was able to see the exact weak spots of the students and then give them specific YouTube videos and pages of what they didn't know. So this I found to be the most efficient way to study for this kind of exam, especially when you don't really want to find yourself just memorizing Anki hours and hours a day, just doing the same flashcards over and over again. So making questions will be much more efficient.
Okay, I will move on with this step,
what I actually recommend is to maybe make an Excel sheet and maybe color the questions that are easy for you and the questions that you didn't know or your friend didn't know how to answer. They will do the same for you, and then they will send the document after you study.
One another.
Exactly. And then you will be able to see exactly which is red and which is green, and then you know exactly what you don't know. That's pretty much what you should do right now. Because you study the study planner, the next step after the study planner is mainly to practice questions as many as possible, but not from the past IMAT. You should keep the past IMATs as simulators to the end of the period of the summer. BMAT section 2, BMAT section 1, past TSA for logic, SAT, you can go to pdfdrive.com. They have a lot of free books. SAT books by Bounce, they have a lot of very good questions. If you can find IB papers from past years, usually you can find them online. They are not public, but it's pretty straightforward to find them. Great source. AP questions are a great source to study from. Just practice as much as you can, but develop this method that you don't only solve questions and then move to the next one. You solve a question, and even if you were correct or not, you analyze every single thing in it. So all of the keywords, all of the definitions from the questions, all of the answers. So ask yourself why this one is correct, why this one is incorrect, for example. Make sure you really break down everything, and it will really help you know exactly what you know or don't know. For example, you can have a question that you solved correctly, but you almost confuse it with another answer. So try to ask yourself why I almost confuse it, why I don't know about this answer, and then it will really help you develop it's usually a few steps that you always take when you approach any question on the IMAT exam, and then you just use this method to solve every question in biology and chemistry, for example. So the IMAT exam is all about strategy and approaching it when you know exactly what to do. So which question to start from, you're even going to scan the entire exam to find keywords that you're familiar with, short questions that are very easy to get points from. So in order to reach this point, you have to practice a lot of questions in a very specific method that you are going to apply on the day on the exam. Another very important thing is that if you don't print questions right now, because the exam is written exam, I highly suggest practicing with pen and paper. If you have the opportunity, iPad, pen and paper. When I practice, and I did that mistake. When I practice, I just use the computer, I solve it, and then I move to the next one. And then on the IMAT exam itself, I wasn't really stressed because I studied a lot to the exam, but it was a very new experience to me to solve the question by hand. It was completely different. So you want to reach a point where every aspect of the IMAT exam, the 100 minutes timer, the no calculator, the silent in the room, if you have the option, go to the library, print questions, really try to simulate this exam environment even when you practice. It will really help you because you want to reach a point where you are not stressed at all on the day of the exam itself. It's very important.
Okay.